NASCAR is a multi-million-dollar industry, and you can see that in the quality of their inventions, from fast cars to impeccably designed tracks and world-class safety gear. But the industry wasn't always as glamorous as it is now. Here are some of the weirdest inventions in NASCAR ever. The Citroen ID19. There are many reasons why a Citroen in NASCAR racing should cause a stir, and it did when the Citroen ID19 hit the tracks at the Crown America 500 that was held in 1958 at NASCAR's Riverside, California track. Not only did the Citroen ID stun spectators with its appearance on the track, but two of them also finished top in their classes. Why was it ever a surprise that this car was featured in NASCAR? And even more, why did jaws drop when they came top in their classes? Well, here's why. To begin with, the Citroen ID19 was an underpowered vehicle and simply a sport-modified, less advanced, and cheaper version of the Citroen DS19, hitting a top speed of barely 100 miles per hour and is built with an engine with a maximum power output of just 75 horsepower. It was also designed with the traditional manual transmission as against the hydraulic gearbox used in the DS19. The Citroen ID19 specs sure look disappointing for what would qualify to race on the NASCAR tracks. However, this race was the first Californian race that carried NASCAR sanction, permitting European countries to participate in the race. The Citroen ID19 competed alongside 45 other European competitors. How on earth did this car make it to the top? Maybe it was just a miracle, or the other cars competing in the same class were simply terrible. But the success of this weird NASCAR entrant was attributed to its unique suspension and drive features. Besides the maneuvering skills of the Los Angeles drivers, Bill Jones and Ralph Roberts, who handled the steering wheels. The AMC Matador. The AMC Matador may be the ugliest invention to hit NASCAR's tracks. Thanks to the efforts of Penske Racing, this car didn't just make it to racing in NASCAR, but bagged a surprising 5 wins for the Penske team and led the way as one of the first oval stock cars to make use of the disc brakes. AMC was never known for having an interest in racing, so the company's decision to get on the track in 1972 was greeted with many raised eyebrows, especially from many NASCAR veterans. However, the Matador quickly built a fan base for itself thanks to the wins engineered by drivers Mark Donohue and Bobby Allison at the Winston Western 500, Los Angeles Times 500, Rebel 500, and Southern 500 races from 1973 to 1975. AMC brought their Matador racing experiment to a standstill in 1978 and later got absorbed a decade later by Chrysler. Well, what's weirder than bagging 5 wins at NASCAR with a car initially designed to take families for a ride? The 1980 to 1982 Ford Thunderbird. Thunderbirds first made their appearance in NASCAR racing during the 1959 season. Curtis Turner, Johnny Beauchamp, Tiger Tom Piston, and Con Owens led their teams to victory, thanks to the blend of the second-generation body style and the newly available 430 SID V8 that made up the Thunderbird's design. During the 1960 season, most teams returned to the traditional full-size Ford body shape. The T-Bird made only infrequent appearances with no subsequent wins. However, in 1977, Ford replaced the Torino with Thunderbird body race cars as their major body style in NASCAR, kickstarting a tradition of luxury coupe body designs. Although the Thunderbird had a boxy look and didn't seem as though it was the perfect aerodynamic fit for the job, Bobby Allison was able to earn an amazing 13 wins for his team sitting behind the steering wheels of this car. From 1977 to 1980, these smaller and aerodynamically efficient Thunderbirds performed excellently in NASCAR stock car racing, before being replaced by tourist-based bodywork in 1998. 1983 through 1988 body cars topped 200 miles per hour, and established a record for the fastest lap in stock car history at Talladega Superspeedway at 44.998 seconds with an average speed of 212 miles per hour, a record that remains unbroken. Although the idea of bringing the built-for-luxury Thunderbird to NASCAR circuit was just as weird as it still sounds, the cars were practically successful for drivers Bill Elliott and Davey Allison, helping Elliott take home the 1988 championship. Alan Kulwicki also bagged the championship in 1992 thanks to the weird luxury turn race car, the Lincoln Mark VIII. In the mid-1980s, when Ford was going to do away with the Thunderbirds, on which Michael Cranefuss's team was largely dependent, Cranefuss decided to take things into his hands and brought about the weird Lincoln Mark VIII experiment. The Lincoln Mark VIII series was essentially designed as personal luxury vehicles, not for spinning on oval circuits. Not minding, PENSKE came up with this experiment in his bid to compete with the then dominating redesigned Chevrolet Monte Carlo. At the time, Ford had no plans to redesign its then 9-year-old Thunderbird model, so this reinforced PENSKE's experiment. On testing the Mark VIII against 40 other cars at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, it came third fastest in the first 3 hours of the track's opening. NASCAR picked interest in the project. However, they weren't satisfied with this car's wind tunnel testing and demanded serial numbers on stock parts. On the other hand, Ford seemed to have its attention miles away from this project, refusing to release relevant information and didn't consent to pay for extra wind tunnel time. Ford claimed they never intended to create a racing image for Lincoln in the first place. With that, the luxury vehicle's place on NASCAR's track came to an early close. The Chrysler Impala. The Chrysler Impala was a personal luxury brand first built in 1926 to rival other prominent names in this category of cars at the time. The Chrysler Impala sat in the category of cars like Cadillac, Lincoln, Ford, and Packard. Fast forward to 1981, and Buddy Arrington's team had two Chrysler Impalas screeching their tires at the Winston Cup Stock Car Series. 1982 was the first time Chrysler Impalas would race at NASCAR, and Buddy made this happen, even though he did so without Chrysler's support. Interestingly, he finished 8th in total points for the season. However, Chrysler was never interested in the project from the start, and after a series of unsuccessful campaigns, Buddy sold off one of the Impalas, while the other was at the International Motorsports Hall of Fame Motorsport Museum located in Talladega, Alabama. Astonishingly, this was the first and last time Chrysler's product would race at NASCAR. The Tucker Torpedo. The Tucker Torpedo was built by Preston Tucker towards the end of the 1940s. Although the Tucker Torpedo was a rare design, since just 51 ever got produced, it managed to feature on the NASCAR racing scene in 1950, thanks to Joe Morella, who competed using this car at the Daytona 500 in Ohio back in 1950. Preston's aim, when putting together the Tucker Torpedo, was to demonstrate cutting-edge safety features, drivetrain design, and style outside of the Detroit mainstream. Little did he know that his design would hit it hard on NASCAR's track just a few years later. Unfortunately, Tucker broke an axe on the pace lamp, and because of this, it never officially started. The Volkswagen Beetle. The Volkswagen Beetle was famous for being cheap, gas-efficient, and easy to repair. If you need a ride that was featherweight compared to other cars at the time and affordable too, then this was just a ride to go for. You'd never thought a 30-horsepower engine with a top speed of just above 60 miles would make it to NASCAR, and this remains one of the weirdest inventions to kiss NASCAR's tracks. To put it all into perspective, NASCAR drivers travel at extremely high speeds, over 200 miles per hour. They accelerate so quickly, it takes only around 3 to 3.5 seconds to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour. So, the Volkswagen Beetle has little to be desired. However, the famous People's Car appeared at NASCAR with Dick Hagee behind the wheels in the July 1953 race held at the Langhorne Speedway. And by some miraculous stroke of luck, this 30-horsepower engine chunk of metal featured in the popular movie The Love Bug made it to the 18th position out of the 35 vehicles that competed. What could be any weirder? The Volkswagen Beetle made history as the only Beetle to have run at the NASCAR Grand National Race, which we now know as the Sprint Cup Race. The Jaguar XK120. Keller's Jaguar XK120 featured at the International 100 NASCAR race on June 13, 1954 at the Linden Airport track. The race was open to many international cars, and since the track was a road circuit, lighter and more agile vehicles like Keller's Jaguar XK120 stood a higher chance of winning. The XK120 was ash-framed and designed with an aluminum body and was exceptionally rare and fast at the time. Keller came top in the race, leading by almost a full lap, and set the record as the only driver to run a NASCAR race behind a British steering wheel. NASCAR now boasts flashy, lightweight, and super fast cars, but before these came to be, weird metal on wheels had kissed these tracks and even won some races. Thanks to the ingenuity of the minds behind NASCAR's most bizarre inventions ever.